Okay, so now we've cleaned up underneath our eyes, so we can see that here is all of the things. It's amazing to me how much work you start to see once you drill down and get in a little bit closer. You start seeing little things that rear their heads that you do what you want to just clean up. So it can be a never-ending kind of story. As far as handling all this stuff, as I can see a lot of little makeup issues here from spillage and stuff that I want to address, and I want to clean this up as much as I can to make sure that these specks are not going to be shown through when I soften the skin, because even though I'm going to go back and address some of these issues in my final retouch when we're done, I want to try to make sure I've handled as much of this as possible. So let's persevere. Let's talk about these hot spots. So the hot spots we're referring to, basically, talk about the little kiss on our nose here, these 2 to 3 little spots here, and on our forehead. Now this can be a large problem or not so large of a problem. So on the very top of this, I'm going to get another blank layer, and I'm going to call this nose hotspot. So on this, I'm going to get my top of my beaky, so I have my brush, get a little larger brush. And when you have the brush, if you hold the Option key down, you're going to be able to sample tone. So wherever I want to sample close to this. So somewhere maybe over here. You notice it's in my foreground. And I've got 100% flow and 100% opacity. Get a little bit bigger brush, and I can toss that right on the hot spot. Can try color blend mode, but a lot of times color blend mode is just going to do nothing to the actual luminance. So most of the time I don't adhere to that. I basically just try to pull back the opacity. So this turns into like a little powdering, just to quiet down that hot spot from that to that, just to bring that shade down a little bit. And we can add another layer here and call this forehead spot. And again, I'm going to get my brush, get a nice big brush, so I have a nice soft palette, and hold the Option key down, sample a color, and paint. And then just drop back my opacity to a point where it's just powdering up. And here now I'm looking at a situation where everything is ready pretty much for the softening side. Now I see a lot of things that I want to jump into, but I'm resisting moving in those directions. I'm resisting moving in the direction of wanting to do something with her hair, wanting to handle this bump on her wrist, and so on and so forth, their nose, or things like that. Subtle little tweaks. Now, for the most part, let me just state that in most situations you would have hired or casted, your client would cast somebody when you'd have hair and makeup on the job. So a lot of the problems we're dealing with here, we wouldn't have to deal with. Now, this person is a very nice person and she's very attractive, but she didn't have hair and makeup that day, and she came in for the photo shoot unprepared, and some things were caught in a situation where you might not want to retouch. But this was a good image for me to show some of the situations where it might fall a little outside the boundaries. Some of the things we're doing here today, basically, you wouldn't have to do if the picture is right. So you want to get it right ahead of the game. You want to get it right in camera as much as possible. You want to get the raw conversion right. As you move forward, you want to get things right and not wait until the end and try to liquefy and change things dramatically. You don't want to have to do that.